honored, humbled. I'm a lucky man today to have an opportunity to speak to a man. I often qualify him in my own right with a man with high integrity, a man who is anchored to the King of Kings, somebody who understands the word recovery, understands what it feels and should be to live in recovery. And so I want to take this opportunity to welcome Chief to the Altered State podcast. Chief, many thanks for taking the time. I know you're a busy man to join us on the Altered State podcast.
It's a beautiful thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Chief, walk us through a little bit of your journey, where you came from. You know, we see the wall of fame back there. I know there's a lot of stories, a lot of, we've had some chuckles around what those photographs represent. Walk us through your life a little bit.
Well, I'm a Mexican Indian kid. Now they call it, I think, American Indian or something like that. Not from India, but I'm from beautiful downtown Anaheim, down the street from Disneyland, which
Nice.
allegedly they say is supposed to be the happiest place on earth. But I believe where I live, the Magic House is the happiest place on earth. And so born into a family, 6 kids. I was the oldest of the 6. Mom and dad, typical dysfunctional family. By the time I was 12 years old, my dad left. So I'm the man of the house at 12 and just got a little reckless and crazy. I looked for counsel in the neighborhood corner, and the older fellows said, smoke this, drink this. And like so many people's stories nowadays, especially in recovery, I was trying to kill the pain, trying to, interrupt the misery that was happening in my life. And I was watching TV in those days. They had shows like Father Knows Best. Today the shows are more like Who's Your Daddy? It's a whole different world, And so the Leave It to Beaver, all that stuff I watched on TV, and I was influenced by that. I go, man, they had a white picket fence in front of the house. Mom, dad liked each other, 2.2 kids and a dog, just that kind of influenced my life. And I wanted that. Matter of fact, I grew up in the city Anaheim, which we referred to it as Clanaheim, because it was a white town. I mean, all my school pictures, elementary school pictures, is this looked like a fly in a glass of milk, this dark kid. And so my journey started out about 7 years old, asking my mom, can you get better soap? I'd like to be white, my skin. And then in 3rd grade, the teachers there told me that Spanish is a dead language. So even though I was raised up speaking Spanish, I had to throw it out of my life. Didn't think about anything. I assimilated early in life, but that's how I started out. And then in my teenage years, I looked for love like everybody else in all the wrong places, and thought I found love when I had teenage puppy love. You know what that's like, when you're on the phone all night long talking to somebody, big old phone, you're telling her you hang up, she tells no, you hang up. So, that same kind of love sickness. And then when I got burned by this beautiful redhead named Annie that I'll never forget, I had to move on with life. And I started making declarations, prophecies like, ain't nobody ever going to tell me nothing. Ain't no woman I'm never going to trust nobody, and all these things, just hating life. And then I took it personal and took it out on this God that I didn't know. I shook my fist at him, and I went on a rampage from about the time 14 to 30. And it was just, in and out of jail, drug addiction, going from being a hippie and a dirty biker, and doing certain drugs, and then finally ended up a heroin addict for many years. And it was about 30 years old that I finally hit my real rock bottom that I found in my life. Ended up in Chino State Prison in California. And while I was there, I was doing what a lot of people do, searching, find out where I was at, who I was. And it was a man, one of the officers there said, hey, any boys want religion, walk on down the hall. I went to a little chapel service, and in my own way, as I understood, I gave my life to God. And then I started going to church meetings. I started going to AA meetings, and I started this road to recovery. Not only a road to recovery, but a road of discovery. So that was the short version of, my jacked up life from 0 to I met the hero of heroes, Jesus, in prison. And while I was there, I took the next couple of years while I was locked up to start learning about myself. I got me a sponsor, I got me a mentor, a life coach of sorts, people that I saw that had been walking down the road of life. And I saw how important that was to humble myself and realize, man, I'd messed up my life and I needed to, make amends with people and all the little things that happened on that journey. But I was just happy to be clean, to be sober, And so that was kind of the beginning of my new life.
Perfect. Chief, I often engage in a conversation around why do I need coaching, whether it's, recovery coaching or, life coaching, for me, and you just confirmed your opinion. I don't get to where I am without a coach.
Gotta have them. Man.
Talk to me a little bit about, you walking this journey, really embodying the word recovery. What's your interpretation of a recovery coach?
Well, it's first off, like it says, it's being able to find people that see the value in you that you don't see yourself, and being able to dig that treasure out of you, having that ability, and them not having a hidden agenda about it, but really wanting to build you up. So finding people that we trust. And after having so many trust issues in life, my dad left me, my girlfriend left me, I'm not trusting anybody. I started little by little, but I saw what their life embodied, where they were going. I wanted to meet people, like I said, had something that money couldn't buy, something that I could attain, without an education and all that type of stuff. And I found out real early on the journey how little I thought I knew everything, but I found out I didn't know anything. And I was just, one of those people who had to start from the ground up. And I can remember a fellow named Tom. I would just ask him questions about life, how to treat a woman, how to go to work, how to be responsible. To me, a coach is everything. Now that I have kids and grandkids, I hire soccer coaches or basketball, whatever it is, we want to get better at something. We need a coach. We need our mentor. We need somebody speaking into our lives. Somebody's got to be a fan of ours and a hero of ours to get us fired up, to get us warmed up about life and pointed in the right direction. And that's why at the beginning of wisdom is when we realized that we don't know shiznit. I mean, we just right there, man. And
So
hey,
good.
Teach me, to be a good leader. I didn't know it at the time, the way I phrase it now, but to be a good leader, you got to start by being a good follower, and people ask me often, the people you mentor and help every single day, what's one of the deepest doctrines you teach them? And I go, it's how to get up in the morning, and face the day and realize, you got to get out of that fetal position. You can't go back to your mama's womb. I know it was safe in there, but you got to get out and face this world. And, so yeah, it means everything. And at this time in my life, man, I've got a life coach on my spiritual end. I got a life coach on my business end. I surround myself with people that are on fire, so I stay heated up. I mean, it means everything, but when we're young, dumb, full of rum, we don't notice, how much we're influenced by others. We all think we're a leader. And when I was locked up in that prison cell, I thought I was leading everybody, but I found out here I am. None of them are with me. Man, I needed some help. And that's that humility comes in, no doubt.
Beautiful. Phil, you shared something that for me is so important. We all understand and we feel and we live, the speed by which life comes at us, sometimes really fast, sometimes not so fast. And for me, just my own personal experience, the days that go really well for me are the days that I'm really strategic, especially those first 60 or 90 minutes of my day. Yes. When my feet hit the floor, how I structure the next 90 minutes paves the way for the next 24 hours. How do you start your day? Give us a little flair for what you do when the Chiefs' feet hit the floor. What happens next?
Oh yeah, we're birds of a feather, because that's exactly it. And all truth is God's truth. And all these you hear about clues to success or this. It really is that way. When somebody's been down the road a little bit farther, they'll tell you about the bumps, the turn, the twists, all that kind of stuff. But it starts off the day exactly, rising up early, just getting going in the morning, and getting a checkup from the neck up right away. And before my feet hit the floor, I'm a little bit different. I'm a little bit older now, so I don't just whole body wake up. It's resurrection, one leg at a time. And when I hit the floor with my feet, first I get stabilized and steady, and then I pull a GTA. I was good at pulling GTA, so I pull a spiritual one now: grateful, thankful, and appreciative. And as I'm heading to the bathroom, that's my first thoughts, But I'm cool. Like Gary Vee the other day, I heard him say success is waking up in a good mood. I'm telling you, 99 and 10% of the time, I wake up in a good mood. I'm high on Jesus when I get up. So I've had a good night. I get up, head into the bathroom, do what I got to do to take care of the day. And you're so right on that. Like I said, how we start the day is how it's going to finish, how we get started in this race, how we prepare ourselves. Are we looking to put on some bad news? Are we looking to hear some, dirty songs, that are just going to mess up our thinking? Or we're going to think about something positive and get in there. And I make sure to put this podcast when I'm in the shower, whatever it is, praise music, or something that's going to lift me up and encourage me. That's right. Every day, you got to start off like that.
Excellent. Phil, you've been in recovery how many years now?
40 years.
40 mango seasons.
Man, long time.
Wow. Does it get any better?
You know what? It does. I believe we go from level to level, glory to glory. It keeps getting better, but I'm going to tell you this, and I'm sure you're aware of this, it keeps getting steeper. The mountain we're climbing for sobriety, recovery, for feeling good, for knowing we're destined to something great, stuff like that, it keeps getting steeper. It never gets easier. That's why, I've had some good tumbles, some good falls. I've had some good uglies in my life, and it always seemed to happen. Pride goes before the fall. So the minute I didn't think I need to keep going to church or going to a meeting or need to listen to a counselor, when I thought I knew it all, man, last time, and I get wake-up calls. And they used to be like about every 5 years, I get a good wake-up call. You know what a wake-up call is? Something that just gives you clarity, eureka, an aha moment, where you just realize, boy, that was a dumb move. That was might have been a good idea, but it wasn't a God idea.
A God shot.
All the way. Like I said, it keeps getting steeper. It keeps getting better. And I mean, I have grandkids, friends, people, when I go out to eat or whatever it might be, they'll hear comments from me all the time, like, oh, that's the best burrito I ever ate. Man, that was the best get together we ever had. That, and they'll make comments, man, you always say that, oh, forgive me for having a happy life, but that's really the majority of time. So you can stay on top as long as I do all the little things that got me there, going to meetings, going to church, hanging out with other people who are on fire. I got to keep, anytime I meet anybody who, man, they're just like a Fausto, man, they're the kind of people you want to have around because, man, they get you relit again. If the fire's gone down, they help you get started up. Iron sharpening iron. So does a brother and a sister sharpen the countenance one another. Getting in the ring every day with other good fighters, people that want to be champions, and they're shooting for the stars. I help out slugs, but I don't hang around with slugs because I know what a slug is because I spent a lot of years being one. And I have returned to the scene of the crime before. And when I thought I had it all together and I did the Humpty Dumpty and, fell, and I didn't think I could get put back together again, but thanks be to God, when a brother or sister falls down, you want to have somebody near to help pick you up.
I was going to ask you this because I've gone on record by saying that I've been granted and successfully completed treatment 3 times. And I was just going to say I'm a proud graduate. I really am. Of the institution, not of the disease. I never walk away from this with a degree saying that I know more than anybody. This is a daily reprieve, and you know that.
Oh, yeah.
My question to you is, when you were looking at, your stay, your life in prison, is there a lot of recovery there? Are there moments of enlightenment there? Like, are there epiphanies that happen there? And who's responsible for that? Is it somebody like you that experiences it and then says, hey, I want to help others like it is in the community? Does it happen like that in prison?
Well, I think there's a lot of recovery that happens in there, but the thing about it is it's a greenhouse of sorts. So
Okay.
you're there, you're with multitudes of people who said, nobody's going to tell me nothing. And you're there being told when to get up, what to eat, what you're going to wear every day. So you're in that big mix there. So usually people are living in the land of promise. I promise when I get out, I'm going to do this. I promise that. So they're influenced by that. But the real world on the outside there is quite different than the inside. And so many are called, but few are chosen. I can remember nights when I would read the Bible and it said this Apostle Paul, praise the Lord at midnight. So I went off on that and started doing that. I had to start my own little God's gang. I chose to, my own little crew. Beautiful. Because, I said, man, you gotta have a crew. You gotta have a team. Nobody does anything significant by themselves. I found out. And Amen. So it was that type of thing, and so there's a whole lot of when I get out, I'm going to do this. And I found out, like I said, we have to prove it right there where we're at. And so I had to get that mindset, it wasn't about when I get out, I'm going to do anything. It's what am I going to do while I'm in this mess? And my wife, who married me in prison, she thought I didn't want to get out because I'd learned to live happily while I was locked up, learning to be content in the situation I was in. And so I've been able to apply that to my life on the outside, because sometimes I get in situations I don't necessarily want to be in, but I've got to learn how to be content in that situation. Wow. Not get heated up and get overboard about something.
Chief, what keeps, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I've been drinking the Kool-Aid for a long time. I follow you. I listen to all of your messages. What keeps you up at night? What's something that worries, Chief?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. At this stage of the game, and there's a lot of different stages along life, the reality of things. Like right now, I just finished a book, How to Build an Empire and How to Burn One Down. Okay. And I'm probably more of an expert on the latter part of it. Yeah. All right. I'm working on my next book, How to Become a Professional Forgiver. And that I've been working on for quite a few years here. Especially because so many people, I'm trying to make sure I outlive all my enemies and not make any new ones along the journey. Been working on that. And then I got my next book after that is advice to people, don't get married, don't have children. And so I'm working all those. And my thing that gets me up and keeps me awake at night now is I can see the finish line. Nobody's promised tomorrow, but when you get a little older, you got to be realistic about it. I can see the finish line, and I know to live is Christ, but to die is gain. It's a win-win. I got nothing to lose. And a lot of people, just because they're senile when they get older, they can say they want to get away with it. Whatever the reason is, my thing that keeps me up now is, man, I want to finish my race. I want to finish it strong. I know God saves the best wine for last. I know he's not done yet, but 7-8 years ago, I was in a retirement mode, mainly because those around me said, Chief, you should chill down. You've done enough cool things. Why don't you just relax now, put your feet up, kick back, And then I went to hear a fellow named Tim Story, a life coach.
Oh yeah, I know. I loved him.
And while I was at the meeting, he said, hey, we got Kanye West here tonight, and he named different people that were there, some big shots. And I go, that's cool. And then I heard him say these words. He goes, we have a legend in the house. And I go, oh, man, I was excited. Man, who is it? Kim Kardashian? Who is it around here, And all of a sudden, he mentioned my name, And I'm going, I didn't even know he knew who I was or anything about my life. But he spoke new life into me. And at 65 years old, 8 years ago, I got excited, on fire, because this guy, re-energized me. It was a revival of the spirit, mind, and soul. And then I took him on as my life coach. And these last 8 years have been the best years of my life.
Beautiful.
And so people are my drug of choice. I get high, forget the COVID and all these other stuff. Like I said, I got my hookup, I got my connects, and
Totally.
I'm always meeting up, doing whatever.
Totally.
That's what keeps me rolling.
That's right, man. I love it. I love it. Chief, I'm a student of the discipline, and what I'm referring to here is leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I've been able to, outside of my career now in recovery, I was a part of some winning organizations, really responsible for driving large commercial organizations in the biotechnology, pharmaceutical, and medical device world. And so I always had that affinity towards leadership and how to engage people and cause people to move in the right direction. And that's tied to the ability to connect, to communicate, and then more importantly, the ability to connect. What is your interpretation of leadership?
Man, I love it. Well, I've been influenced, of course, by other leaders, and the ultimate to me leader is Jesus the Christ. I mean, who led the pack. And so when everybody I see borrows stuff for him, nothing new under the sun, the 12-step program is a perfect example of the gift of borrowing, putting all those things together. And everything that I do, every book that I write, everything I borrow these gifts from the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, and the head leader of the pack and everything like that. But on everyday life, for the last 2 years, every Monday I teach from John Maxwell's leadership books, principles, Ed Milet, all these different people. I love being influenced by all these leaders. So they inspire me on a daily basis, right alongside the Word of God. They inspire on a daily basis how to practically do it. And like you said, communicating to people, connections. It's kind of like I'm a martial artist, so I'm kind of like Bruce Lee's in the sense of when you're working with people, have that peripheral vision. Walk on rice paper, and be ready for everything like that. You got to be alert. You got to be ready, be trained, sound mind, all that kind of stuff. That's immediately we got to deal with our own and develop a miracle mentality. So once again, it's rubbing off on others. We all rub off on each other. First time I've ever talked to you to speak of, like I says, but man, everything you say resonates inside of me because that's me too. I believe that. I'm with you. Amen. All that kind of stuff. It's a connection, and when you meet people, I have new people that join my groups each week in leadership, and it's like, man, I never heard this before. And for some of us who are mentors of others, we got to realize, a lot of stuff is new to people. So the questions they ask, we'll have them asked to us thousands of times over a lifetime. And if we get compassion fatigue, get burnt out, they got more questions. Why do they care? They're bugaboo. Then we got a problem. It's always realizing it's us. It's not them out there. There's no victimitis here. We're overcomers. We're victorious. So I forgot what the question was, but anyway.
No, listen, you nailed it. You talked about all the, in terms of the influencers that have fed into, who you are and the representation of your leadership brand, and how you flex that. Chief,
leadership is influence, no doubt.
Say that one more time.
Leadership is influence.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and for me, I'm of the opinion that there is no perfect way. There's no way that you should model or script. I mean, I think God gave us the ability to take it all in and make it your own, right? There's people that have gone before us that we can take their experiences and tie them into whatever it is that we're doing.
Yes.
And that's the approach that I take. Chief, I want to ask you two more questions. One is the elephant in the room. I'm always intrigued by the tattoo. You had it before Tyson. I always say that he copied you. So yes. You had it before Tyson. Give me a little visibility. Give me a little story behind that.
Well, here I was, I don't know, 20 years ago, something like that, watching a B-rated movie. Maybe it was a D-rated movie called Once Were Warriors. It was a bunch of Maori warriors from New Zealand who were tattooed face and all this stuff like that. And like I told you, as a kid, I got influenced by Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best, the Brady Bunch, whatever it might be. as a little older man, I got influenced by blood in, blood out. And here, once we're warriors, I didn't like how they behaved because they were angry and violent, but I was angry and violent, but I liked the way they looked. A lot of people over the years, man, I always wore sunglasses, nighttime, day and night, everything like that. And people go, why do you wear those sunglasses? You know? And I go, well, the spiritual answer is my future's so bright, I got to have them on. Okay. But the truth is, I think they look cool. So when I'm watching this movie, once a word, see all these tattooed faces, I go, oh, that looks cool. That looks cool. 30 years ago, I was telling people from my pulpit with thousands of people saying Jesus is cool. I was criticized from preachers everywhere that Jesus is omnipotent. He's not cool, you know, all this kind of stuff like that. Now I see these preachers that are skinny pant wearing preachers today. Everybody, Jesus is cool. Everything's hip. Mm-hmm. I was always about 30 years ahead of my time doing things. So here I was, like I says, watching this movie, thinking that, but God brought that to fruition. I just recently, within the last month, they've been following for years, working together with me for years. But in the last month, we now have New Zealand Set Free Worldwide Ministries. And these are all these tattooed people and everything like that are all part of our flock worldwide.
Wow.
So to me, it was just like a delight yourself in the Lord and he'll give you the desires of your heart. Boom, this is one of the desires of my heart. And I'm not done finishing. I'm going to finish the rest of the half of this old face with a tattoo. But I had to pause for a while because in 2008, I had another great wake-up call from God. You know, Moses saw the burning fire. I saw the ATF, the DTEA, and all the detectives and everything arrest me in 2008, you know, and I was locked up on $1 million bail. So I had to pause finishing my tattoo for the next 2 years of going to court to financially get things in order. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Best thing that ever happened to me, because I started using that pride drug again. And sure enough, like I says, I knew better. I was a one-man show. You know, I forgot all the little things, you know, that got me to a certain place, because a lot of us can get a whole lot, but keeping it's a whole nother thing, you know? And so I'm one of those. That's why I was able to write that book, you know, How to Build an Empire and How to Burn One Down. Man, I lost it all, but in the same house right where I'm seated right now, we call it the magic house. The magic is here. The same house where I got arrested, lost everything. This whole place was a flat nothing. And now it's the coolest place around. It's a piece of property where everybody comes on this property, gets built up, encouraged, challenged to be an overcomer, to be a good fighter of the faith, to get going. So that's a little bit about, you know, why I got that tattoo. But I'm not done with them yet. And you know, and everywhere I go, it always opens a conversation.
Love
Why'd
it.
you do that? How come you did that? Glad you asked.
How much time do you have?
Yeah.
I'll give you the backstory. You may want to sit down.
Yeah, exactly.
Chief, last question. I'm, you know, blown away with your story, your authenticity, your love for Christ, your love for recovery, your love for the human race. Let me just put it like that. I want other people to get access to you. I want them to follow you. Where can some of the listeners, subscribers, where can they find you? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, my website is setfree, SETFREE, Anaheim, ANAHEIM.com. My website is pretty much the place right there. I'm on Facebook and I got Instagram, Phil Aguilar SF, but setfreeanaheim.com is my little home place right there. And I appreciate it. No, this is as cool as can be. And you know how it is when you get to meet somebody, you know, if they've been to the mountaintop before, you know, you can tell, you know, if they've tasted the stuff, you know, they know the kind, you know, the uncut stuff, and they're secure. It's not like everybody's got the right answer and stuff like that. It's just, you know, your story, and we all got a story, and it's beautiful to meet people like yourself who are just doing it, you know, and realize, hey, man, well, we all need a little love. There's a commercial where the lady falls down, older lady in the house, she falls down, help, I can't get up, you know, and it's some kind of alert, you know, buy this little thing around.
Yeah.
And the point is, hey, lady, move somebody in your house. You know, if we all fall down, we need somebody there to help pick us up. And that's what I've learned now, like I said, as a team, just that team, not being insecure of the spot, everybody doing their role. Back in the day, I used to run for all the touchdowns. Now I got to get Fostos to hand the ball off to so they can run for the touchdowns. But I get just as excited about it if I was running it. I know how to live vicariously through others and enjoy the heck out of it now.
Beautiful. Chief, I'm indebted to you. One of the most finite of resources is our time. Something you don't get back, and I'm grateful, honored that you gave me 35 of yours. I'm a different person as a result of this conversation. And so thank you, my friend. I really appreciate everything that you've taught me without you knowing that you're teaching me, and everything that you've shared here and all of the other lives that you touch by your testimony. So thank you.
Thank you. Much love, and stay high on Jesus, my friend.
Amen.